Good morning and warm welcome to all of you in my class. My dear students, in my earlier classes, we looked at the diversities of external structure of root, stem, leaf, inflorescence, flower and fruit, which is taken from the Unit 2 Morphology of Flowering Plants. I hope all of you have understood those topics well. Students, our today's topic is reproduction in flowering plants. And in Andhra Pradesh state syllabus, this topic is third unit, whereas in CBSE syllabus, this topic comes in 12th class only. But as we are following the state syllabus, I have selected this topic for today's session. So this is the reproduction in flowering plants. This unit is again consists of two lessons. One is mode of reproduction and the second is sexual reproduction in plants. And in this session of my class, I am going to discuss the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. So let's see what is the sexual mode of reproduction. So when I say reproduction, at once you just think about the flower, structure of flower, because the flower is the reproductive organ in plant, and flower is the characteristic of flowering plants, angiospermic plants, and flower is also called as modified shoot, condensed shoot. On the flower, here I have put a longitudinal section of flower, that is LS of flower. If we see this structure, already I discussed this structure with you. Once again, in the reproduction also, this structure is discussed. So, I again like to explain you that the flower consists of 4 whorls. On the swollen part of thalamus, 4 whorls are present, and the gynoecium, the pistil part, which is the innermost whorl, is developed. It develops from the apical meristem. And the remaining floral parts, that is androecium, corolla, individually it is called petal, and calyx, individually it is called sepals. These are arranged on different nodes. And when the shoot is condensed, these appear like they are present in nearer places. So, the first whorl which we see, the first part is calyx, and the colorful attractive part is corolla, and these are called non-essential organs because they do not participate in the reproduction, and the essential organs are stamen and pistil. Here the third whorl is stamen and the fourth innermost whorl is pistil. So let's see the another slide. In another slide, pistil, which is the innermost part, innermost organ, it consists of 3 parts: stigma, style and ovary. The bulbous part is called ovary, inside which ovules are present, and the slender stalk-like, tube-like structure is called style, and upon that stigma is present, which is knob-like or cap-like structure, and it is the receptive spot on which pollen grains fall. And this is the structure of pistil. Here also it is shown. See, in this structure, it is also, you can observe, this is ovary, this is style, and this is stigma. These 3 are called carpels or pistil or gynoecium. This is the female reproductive organ. And the male reproductive organ, which is known as androecium or stamen, it consists of mainly 2 parts. One is anther and one is filament. So let's see what is the structure of the male reproductive organ, the stamen. Stamen consists androecium, androecium consists mainly two parts, anther and filament. The filament which is present, the part of filament which is present near to the thalamus, it is called the proximal end, and the for which is far away from the thalamus, it is called distal end. Distal end and proximal end. Students, I have chosen this unit because in the NEET also this unit holds 9% weightage. That means every year 4 to 5 questions were asked in the previous NEET papers. So this is very, and the embryology, the reproduction, the sexual reproduction in flowering plant is very, very important. And after studying the morphology, if you just go through the embryology part or see the sexual reproduction, it will be very easy to understand. So I have started this topic. So if you see in the stamen, anther is the productive or fertile part, and the filament is just a stalk which helps in attaching the anther to the thalamus. So here a broad diagram, a Y diagram is there. If you see inside this, pollen grains are formed and these are microsporangias. So if we see a elaborated structure, or if we take a section of transverse section of anther, cut transversely and put the slide on and see it in microscope, you can observe this type of structure. And it is a diathecous anther. Anther can be diathecous or anther is bilobed. That means two thecas are present, diathecous, or it is unilobed, single lobed. That means one theca is present. Generally, all the flowers have two thecas. That means diathecous anthers are seen. But in some families, like Malvaceae and Cucurbitaceae, only one theca, that means only one lobe is present in the anther. Let's see how the anther looks. If it is one lobed, it is like a kidney shaped. It is a single lobed anther, and it looks like bean shaped or kidney shaped structure. And filament is attached to the dorsal side of this kidney like structure. Filament is attached at the dorsal side. So dorsifixed type of filament is seen. And this type is observed in Malvaceae and Cucurbitaceae also. So in hibiscus, in Abelmoschus, Okara, and in cotton plants, we can observe unilobed or monothecous type of anther. Whereas in remaining families, in other families, generally two thecas are present. So here, if we observe the internal structure of the anther, you can see these are two thecas. One theca is here. This one is one theca, one lobe, and this one is the second lobe. So, and in between two thecas, a longitudinal groove is present. And in between two theca, sterile tissues are present. Sterile because they do not participate in reproduction. So these are called sterile tissue, and this is known as, these tissues are connective because it is present in between the two theca. So these cells are called connective tissues. And if you see in each theca, how many microsporangias are present or pollen sac? this is one pollen sac. See, this is one pollen sac and this is one pollen sac. So each theca is consisting two pollen sac. Two pollen sacs are present, or can say two microsporangias are present. Here also two microsporangia. That means a Diathecus anther consists of how many microsporangia? 4 microsporangia. Whereas in Monothecus anther, only 2 microsporangias are present. Unilobed Monothecus, like in hibiscus, only 2 microsporangias are present. I hope you understood up to this. Now, let's see the internal structure of anther. How it looks. Of course, this is the mature anther structure. If we see this structure, the anther, the microsporangium, which I told there are 5 microsporangias in a Diathecus anther, and these microsporangia is protected or covered by 4 wall layers. So, how many wall layers are there in anther? 4 wall layers are there. The outermost, let's see the first wall layer, the outermost wall layer, it is epidermis. The outermost wall layer is called epidermis. And in epidermis, cells are compactly arranged. Number 1 point. It is single layered, cells are rectangular in shape, and it is compactly arranged. And what is the function of this epidermis? It is meant for protection. These cells are protecting the inner cells, that means protecting the microsporangium, the pollen sac. And next to the epidermis, or beneath the epidermis, if I say, endothecium layer is present. So, epidermis is number 1 point, single layered, rectangular, cells compactly arranged. And next to the epidermis is endothecium. Endothecium is also single layered. This layer is also single layered. The second wall layer, and the cells are radially elongated. In the endothecium, not, of course, these are also compactly arranged, but cells are radially elongated. That means the cells are showing this type of elongation and with the fibrous thickenings. You have to remember one thing here, all the 3 protective cells are with fibrous thickenings. Because, and fibrous, if I am telling fibrous, that means it is made up of sclerenchyma. So, these wall layers are very rigid and very hard to break. So, the endothecium is the second wall layer. If the question is asked which layer is just beneath the epidermis and in which layer cells are radially elongated, that is endothecium. And it is of fibrous thickenings, and this layer also holds water, so with hygroscopic nature. So when anther reaches to maturity and endothecium layer breaks, then water release outside, water comes outside, and so it helps in the dispersal of pollen grain. So let's see, what the next to the endothecium, the third layer is middle layer, and middle layer is 3 to 5 layers. So these are made up of thin wall, the cells are thin walled, and these are called ephemerals. That means they live for very short period. They first vanish. So which layer disappears first in the anther wall? If a question is asked like that, that means this is middle layer which lives for very short period. So first layer epidermis, second is endothecium, third is middle layer. And the two outer layers are one layer, single layered, whereas middle layer is 3 to 5 layers. And next to the middle layer, the fourth wall layer or the innermost wall layer is called tapetum. See, it is the innermost wall layer, it is the fourth wall layer, and it is also called as nutritive layer, because tapetum provides nutrition to the developing pollen grain. That means inside the microsporangium, pollen grains are forming, and tapetum layer provide nourishment, giving food to the developing pollen grain. So it is a nutritive layer. Let's see what is present in this. So in this, these cells are large. First point. Second point, dense cytoplasm is present, and with a prominent large nucleus. And the nucleus, the ploidy, is either polyploidy, many, or multinucleate. How multinucleate structure is formed? Because karyokinesis is occurring, but cytokinesis is not occurring. I think you have read mitosis and meiosis in 10th class also. So it is easy, you can easily understand what is karyokinesis and what is cytokinesis. So here multinucleate structure, or if a single nucleus, that is polyploidy, dense cytoplasm, prominent nucleus is present with large cells. That is the structure of tapetum. So we have seen 4 wall layers. Out of 4, 3 are protective layers with fibrous thickenings made up of sclerenchymatous cells, rigid, and the 4th one, which is tapetum, it is a nutritive layer which provide nourishment to the developing pollen grain. Here you can see this is the matured anther structure. That means in matured anther structure, pollen grains are coming outside. How these pollen grain are coming? When these 3 layers are such rigid, such hard to break, then how pollen grains are coming? In the epidermal layer, see, in the epidermal layer, near the joining of 2 pollen sacs, in between the 2 pollen sacs, if we see in this diagram, this diagram, near the in the epidermal layer, in between 2 pollen sacs, some cells are present which is called stomium. And these cells are thin walled. So when anther reaches to maturity, it breaks at the region of stomium, because the remaining part is very rigid, and only at the stomium the anther breaks and it liberates pollen grain. So pollen grain comes out through the stomium region. So let's see the structure here. It is a mature anther, TS of mature anther. All the pollen grains are formed. But how these pollen grains are formed? We have just seen the structure of wall layers. So inside the wall is meant for protection, and it is protecting the pollen sacs. So what is there inside? Inside these 4 walls, homogeneous mass of tissues. That means all the cells are similar. Homogeneous mass of cells are present. And these cells are called sporogenous tissues. These cells are called sporogenous. Sporogenous tissue. And these sporogenous tissue, some of the cells, see here I am going to draw a diagram for your better understanding. This is epidermal wall, and this is endothecium, and below the endothecium, middle layer is present, thin walled ephemerals, it vanishes very soon, disappears very soon, middle layer is present, 3 to 5 layers, middle layers, and then tapetum is present. Tapetum. Oh, sorry. And next tapetum is present, which gives nourishment. And this part is called sporogenous tissues or microsporangium. Inside the microsporangium, sporogenous tissues are present. So these cells are homogeneous in nature. All the cells are similar, but when the anther comes to maturity, what happens? Some of these cells becomes enlarged in size. Either they enlarge in size. So let's see here, some of the cells enlarge in size or undergo division. That means these cells are enlarged in size or undergoing mitotic division. So it forms microspore mother cells. Here what is formed? Microspore mother cells. So inside the sporogenous tissue, microspore mother cells are formed, and these cells are in 2n condition. The sporogenous tissue is also in 2n condition, and with the diploid nucleus, and the microspore mother cells are also in 2n condition. So these microspore mother cell undergo meiosis. After going meiosis, they form tetrad of microspores. So this is how the microspores are formed inside the sporogenous tissue. So first of all, sporogenous tissues which is present in the microsporangium, which is in 2n condition, either enlarge or it goes mitotic division. Here mitotic division takes place and it forms microspore mother cells. Microspore mother cell. And this microspore mother cell, again which division occurred? Meiotic division. Meiotic division occurred here because meiotic division takes place in reproductive cells, in mother cells. So in microspore mother cell, meiotic division occurred, and here microspores are formed. So tetrads, microspore tetrads. So one microspore mother cell is giving tetrads of, that means 4 microspores are formed. And when they are, these 4 microspores, first they remain in cluster of tetrads. But after some times they are released from the tetrads and singly they are considered as pollen grains. So these pollen microspores which are in n condition, because here mitotic division occurred, so the micro daughter cells are in n condition and tetrad of microspores are formed. That means you can draw 4 microspores. Let's take another. So the sporogenous cell in tissue formed microspore, MMC, mother cell, and tetrad of microspores are formed here. These are arranged either in linear form, all the 4 are in a line, or in T-shaped structure, or isobilateral. 4 are arranged isobilateral or in tetrahedral form. This is the arrangement when they are in clusters. But after separating from the cluster, they are considered as pollen grain. So this is how pollen grains or microspores are formed. This whole process is called, this phenomenon is called microsporogenesis. Genesis means formation, and what is forming inside the anther? It is microspores. So microspore is forming inside the anther. So formation of microspore is called microsporogenesis. I hope you understood how microspores are formed inside the anther. Now let's see. If you see this structure here, it is the mature anther, and here we can observe, you can see matured anther, many pollen grains are formed. Not only 4, many number of thousands of pollen grains are formed inside the anther. So if it is one microspore mother cell, then it gives rise to 4 pollen grains are produced. More than 1, 2, 3, 4 a number of microspore mother cells are present. That means number of pollen grains are formed inside the anther. And after formation of pollen grain, that means anther reached to maturity, and the 3 walls near the stomium, it degenerates and anthers come outside. At what stage anther come outside and it falls on the stigma? Let's see. So let's first of all, let's see what is the structure of pollen grain. Pollen grain is the first cell of male gametophyte, because inside the, I have told you that androecium is the male reproductive organ, and in androecium or stamen, inside that we have seen microsporangium is present, and inside the microsporangium, microspore mother cells are present, and in the microspore mother cell, meiotic division occurred and tetrads of microspore are formed, spores are formed, and when they are released from tetrad, they are considered as pollen grains. So if we see, every one of we have a hibiscus plant at our home. So if the hibiscus flower is matured, then you touch the anther, you will find a deposition of, just you open the flower and you touch the anther part, you will find the deposition of yellowish powder like granules on your fingers. You just put that yellowish powder like substance on a glass slide, and if you see with the help of microscope, you will see the fantastic emerging structure of pollen grain. Because pollen grain, it is 25 to 50 micrometer in diameter. It is looking like coronavirus, but no, it is not coronavirus. It's a beautiful structure of pollen grain. Fantastic emerging structure we can observe when we see with the help of microscope. So the internal structure of pollen grain is here, and externally it looks like this. So here, if you see, looking a bright color pollen grain, actually powdery yellowish or sometime greenish reddish color type of we can observe, but generally it is 25 to 50 micrometer in diameter, and it is round and spherical in structure. This pollen grain consists of 2 wall layers. Outer wall is called exine. This wall is called exine. See, here I have written, this is the exine wall. And this is made up of sporopollenin. And sporopollenin is very much resistant, highly resistant substance. The chemical is highly resistant. It is resistant to the heat and also some organic materials. So it can live in any condition, unfavorable condition. And the intine wall is made up of pectocellulose. And both exine and entine wall looks so different designs, and it is showing different designs and patterns. The exine wall is spinous in structure, or sometimes it is rough also. Generally it is spinous in structure, and at some places we can see the circular hyaline area which is called germ pore. This is thin walled and a circular hyaline, semicircular hyaline area which is known as germ pore. And the exine wall is made up of sporopollenin. You have to remember this. And the entine wall, which is the inner wall, it is made up of pectocellulose. Pectocellulose. And inside the pollen grain, a single nucleus is present. It is haploid type of nucleus, N nucleus, N condition. So single nucleus is present, and a large vacuole is seen with dense cytoplasm. So it is round and spherical structure with a dense cytoplasm, with haploid nucleus, with a large vacuole, and surrounded by, protected by two wall layers, exine and entine. And whereas exine is rigid and hard, entine is smooth, and it is made up of pectocellulose. I hope you understood the structure of pollen grain. Now let's see when it comes out from the anther, and at what stage it comes out from the anther, and what is the viability period when it loses its viability. Generally it varies from plant to plant. In wheat and rice grain, the viability period is 30 minutes. But the pollen grains are stored in the seed banks or in the pollen banks. And students, sometimes these pollen grains of some plants causes allergies also. Like one plant is there, Parthenium hysterophorus. The common name of this plant is Congress grass or carrot grass. Also it is called carrot grass also. But Congress grass or Parthenium, this plant came to India when imported wheat is introduced here. So, and this causes some respiratory problems. This pollen grains of this plant causes some respiratory problems like asthma and bronchitis. So be aware. And sometimes these pollen grains are rich in nutrients also. So in Western countries, people take this pollen grain in form of tablets and syrups. Especially athletes and race horses consume these pollen grains for energy. So I think this is the uses and some harmful aspects of pollen grain. And if we see the structure, here I have shown that only one nucleus, which is haploid nucleus, is present. And when they liberate from, they comes out from the anther structure, at what stage they comes out. Let's see at what stage it comes out from the anther. So here again, pollen grain structure, I put one more slide for you, for your understanding. This is the exine wall. This is the entine wall. Exine, I told you, it is made up of sporopollenin, and entine, it is made up of pectocellulose. You have to remember, very, very important points these are. And it consists in nucleus, and the cell of the pollen grain divides mitotically, and it forms two cells. Cell of the pollen grain, this is pollen grain structure with having one nucleus, and it divides, forming a large vegetative cell. So here a large vegetative cell is formed, and a small spindle-shaped generative cell is formed. This one is large vegetative cell. It stores food material, and the spindle-shaped structure is called small generative generative nucleus or generative cell is formed. First of all, this generative cell is present in the cytoplasm. Then it comes near to the wall and it contacts with the wall, this generative nucleus. So when that means now the pollen grain has reached at a two-celled stage. Two-celled stage it is forming. It is haploid in the beginning with one nucleus, with one cell, but soon after, when anther is reaching to the maturity and it is ready to liberate the pollen grain, the cell of the pollen grain divides and it forms large vegetative and a small generative cell which is spindle shaped. So when it reaches to the two-celled stage, it falls on the stigma, because that means it reaches to the pistil of the flower. Pistil is the female reproductive organ, and the pollen grain in angiospermic plant how many cells when it is there? When it reaches to the stigma, only two cells, vegetative and generative. So up to this I have explained you up to this, and still there are 5 more minutes. So I am trying to explain more topics regarding this. But before that, I hope all of you have understood what is microsporogenesis and which 3 walls are protective in anther wall layers. The epidermis, the endothecium and the middle layers are meant for protection. Of course, the endothecium layer is hygroscopic in nature and it holds water inside, and when anther reaches to maturity, the endothecium wall breaks and the epidermis also break. All the 3 wall layers break down. Middle layer, at first it disappears, and the tapetum is used by supplying the nutrients to the pollen grain. So only the epidermal part is there, and near the stomium also this epidermal part also breaks, and inside the microsporangium we have seen that the sporogenous tissues are present, and these tissues are in 2N condition, and these sporogenous tissues either they enlarge in size or they undergo division and form microspore mother cells, and these mother cells are also in 2N condition, and these microspore mother cell undergo which division? Meiotic division, because these are mother cells. So meiotic division takes place in mother cells, and these mother cells form tetrad of microspores. So these tetrads, when they are released from the tetrads, they are considered as pollen grain. So this is how, and this whole phenomenon, this whole process is called microsporogenesis, formation of microspores or formation of pollen grains. The pollen grain is formed. So here and we have seen the structure of pollen grain also, and pollen grain consists exine and intine wall, inside dense cytoplasm and a single nucleus is present, and when it reaches to the two-cell stage, that means one vegetative nucleus and a generative nucleus is formed, 2 cells are formed with the 2 nucleus, then only it comes out from the anther and it reaches to the stigma of the pistil. Stigma is the receptive spot, and when the pollen grain falls on the stigma, thereafter it germinates on the stigma. So here I want to ask you a question which is very important, and many of times this question came in the NEET AIPMT also, that if suppose if a flower has flower has 5 stamens. So see, flower is having 5 stamens. And type of anther is diathecous. That means how many thecas are present? 2 theca are present. In these 2 theca, how many microsporangium? Each theca consists of 2 microsporangium. That means number of microsporangium 4. And if I say each microsporangium is having 2 microspore mother cells. Each microsporangium is having 2 microspore mother cells. And after meiotic division, each mother cell is giving 4, 4. That means 8 pollen grains are formed, 8 microspores are formed. In each microspore mother cell, 4 pollen grains comes. So from 2 microspore mother cell, 8 microspores are formed. So if I ask how many total number of how many microspores are formed if there are 5 stamens. So see, from 2 microspore mother cell, from which is present in 1 microsporangium. So there are 3 more. So from each microsporangium we are getting 8 microspores. That means another 3 at 24 more. That means total 32 microspores are formed in 1 stamen. In 1 stamen, 32 microspores are formed. So in 5 stamens, how many microspores are formed? 32 into 5. 1 total 160. Total 160 pollen grains are formed in 1 flower. If a flower is having 5 stamens, then the number of, and it is diathecous, then if each microsporangium is consisting 2 microspore mother cells, then count the number of pollen grains which are formed inside the flowers. So then you have to count like this. Students, I hope you understood this session of my class, this session, and I think everything is clear to you. In my next session, in my next class, I am going to discuss the male gametophyte. That is how male gametes are formed inside the pollen grains. Thank you very much.